you talked about doubling down on a niche based on your skill set. You had a set of skills that you brought to this. And you said, okay, I can use this to be better at this, and then I can build on that. To me, it's that kind of belief in yourself and what you're doing that sets the doers apart from the wanters, if you will, or the wantrepreneurs. Those existing skills that you had based on where you wanted to go, the way you put it together. I mean, listen, the 350 plus units that you have right now in 2.5 years, in my opinion, is astonishing. That's not what the average person does. The average person is going to buy, maybe a 6 unit or an 8 unit, just kind of dip their toe in the water. And then, maybe 6 months later, they'll go and they'll buy another one. But you didn't do that at all. You just said, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this.
Yeah. It's definitely a mentality thing, I think, where kind of like what you said before, I had absolutely no real estate experience. Like I barely understood how a house kept itself together. But what I was confident in was my ability to analyze data, because that's what my career was. I forget if I mentioned, but I used to be a data scientist for 10 years. And so I didn't know like the wrapper. I didn't know terms like DSCR, NOI. I didn't know what a soffit was, or I didn't know like types of materials. But I knew how to read numbers. And I figured that as long as get the base knowledge of how all of the nuances of multifamily real estate work, I could apply the same skill sets that I've already developed and kind of make that transition a lot easier. And I think that's a lot of a mental barrier too. Or if you're like me, maybe you think that you don't have what it takes to invest into real estate because you just don't have a background, you don't have friends, you don't have family. And I was the same way, where like, again, I don't have, a dad that's a real estate investor. I don't have an uncle that flips homes, like literally knew absolutely no one. But I feel like there's always a skill set that you've developed elsewhere in your life that can make the transition a little easier. And for me, I mean, I've always known I'm a data dork, right? And even if I wanted to find success in multifamily, knowing that it's a long-term game, I had to focus on a skill set that I actually enjoyed, like analyzing data. So it's not the most glamorous role. It's not the role that gets the most equity. It's not the one that, is the flashiest. But I obviously also wear many hats. I combine a lot of different skill sets so I can get equity in deals. But underwriting specifically was kind of like my foot in the door. I was able to provide value to a lot of great teams, get real world experience, and use that to kind of snowball and leverage my way into the right partnerships.
Right. So that's, you're able to basically see the numbers inside the numbers and make, what I call micro decisions that have macro outcomes.
Exactly. I always say that I can read numbers a lot better than I can read people. And your numbers tell me something that your words can hide. So I've talked to plenty of investors where on the surface, we get along, but when I see their spreadsheets and I can tear that apart, that's when I know when our risk tolerances just might be too different for me to be able to work with someone. And so that's not a skill set that I developed overnight. I did it in corporate America for large Fortune 500 companies, but it's something that I enjoy doing, and I know that it's the easiest way for me to kind of grow. There was a time when, everyone says finding the deal, finding the money, they're kind of like the coolest roles because you're able to, dictate more leverage and ask for more. And so I spent a lot of time trying to, do some marketing, going to events, and I still do. So I still, raise capital and find deals, but it wasn't how I fueled myself into, the unit count that I have today, because it's not who I was innately as a person. So I think part of being able to succeed in real estate and multifamily is also being self-aware enough to tell yourself like, hey, this is something that I love to do, that I'm really good at. This is something that I don't really enjoy doing, or I'm not really good at. And that's who I need to find in terms of partners so they can offset my existing skill sets.
I think that right there is so monumental, because more often than not, people want to go into business with what they think are like-minded people, and there's an element of that, but you can't go into business with somebody whose right arm is just as strong as your right arm.
Yeah. Exactly.
Because then you're doing the same things. And you just have to have the people that are stronger. And in my opinion, those are the greatest leaders, the people that can say, hey, here's where I can identify, as you said, you're self-aware enough to know, here's where I'm not so strong. I'm going to work with this person. Even if you're looking for that person, I'm going to look for this person that's strong in that area to make this thing that I'm building, or that we would ultimately be building, bigger, because it grows exponentially from that point.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I mean, everyone says it's a who business, not a how business. Yeah, Dan Sullivan's book "Who Not How" is very popular among my multifamily real estate circles. Yeah, completely subscribe to the idea that you just have to find more people. You can't do everything yourself. You're not Superman. You can't carry the weight of the world on your shoulders forever. So you're gonna have to make the right connections and yeah, use that to scale.
Absolutely. I'm giving you everything you need to find success as a real estate investor. So make sure that you subscribe to this channel and like this video. See you later.